Another second or two. Okay, you're live now and the attendees are all starting to enter the room.
I'll wait a second till most of them get in. Can you let me know, Gavin, once they're in?
They're in. They
Okay.
may join more as the night progresses, but so
I think
far you've
so.
got 20 people in there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's Wednesday, February 3rd, meeting of the Fresno Planning Commission. So can we please take roll?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Commissioner Diaz?
Here.
Commissioner McKenzie? Commissioner Hardy?
Present, thank you.
Commissioner Kreiner?
Present.
Commissioner Vang?
Here.
And Chair Bray.
Yes. And as we all know, Commissioner Sodi Lane has resigned and we're looking for a new member of the Planning Commission. I think they're working on that. So we'll now do the Pledge of Allegiance. We have our flag, Gavin. Okay, ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'll read the procedures now. While emergency order number 2020-12 is in effect, City of Fresno public meetings will be conducted electronically and telephonically only. As such, this meeting is being conducted electronically and telephonically. If you are a member of the public who would like to comment on an item, please use the raise hand function on Zoom, or if you're calling in, dial *9. To avoid confusion, please wait for the item you desire to comment on to be called by the chair before electronically raising your hand or dialing *9. For each matter considered by the commission, there will first be a staff presentation, followed by a presentation from the project applicant. Testimony from supporters of the project will then be taken, followed by testimony from those in opposition. The applicant will have the right to a final rebuttal presentation prior to closing the public hearing. In accordance with Section 13 of Article 2 of the Planning Commission Rules and Regulations governing the length of public debate, all public testimony from those in support and in opposition of the project will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Any testimony that references race, religion, ethnicity, economic status, national origin, or any other classification protected under state or federal law in a derogatory manner shall be deemed irrelevant and will not be considered by the commission in making its land use determinations. If you challenge these land use matters in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised in oral or written testimony or before the close of the hearing. So we'll start today's meeting with an approval of the agenda. And I think this is where I talk about continued matter ID 20-00701 to be continued to February 17th. So is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Chair Bray.
Yes, sir.
Staff would like to request one additional amendment to the agenda this evening.
Okay,
We would like to propose that continued matter 7B, ID 21-200, also be continued to a date and time certain, February 17th, 2021.
okay. 7B. Okay. So can we approve that? Can I have a motion continuing both item 7B and the one that I mentioned?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, we had a motion by Commissioner Hardy seconded by Commissioner Diaz. Will you please take a roll call vote?
Yes, and I am noting that Commissioner McKenzie joined the meeting at 6:04.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Diaz,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kreiner,
Yes.
Commissioner Vang,
Yes.
and Chair Bray.
Yes. Okay, do we have any reports by commissioners? Okay, then we will go.
I do have just a comment. I just wanted to acknowledge, so it's February 3rd, and recognize that it's Black History Month, and hope that folks will seek out information around the history of African Americans in not only our city, but our county and our state and our country, that have contributed to our society.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McKenzie.
Okay, so we will move on to continued matter. Oh no, that's the one we're going past. So we're on new matters, ID 21206, consideration of plan amendment application, a rezone application. So can we have a staff report, please?
Sure. Chair Bray, Commission members, Will Tackett, Planning and Development Department. Before staff presents on this item, staff would like to confirm that the commissioners did receive 3 letters in opposition that were received this afternoon. They were emailed to the commissioners and uploaded to the report record. Staff has not had opportunity to comprehensively review what is referenced within those letters, and therefore would request that the applicant respond to any opposition cited either within those letters or in verbal testimony this evening. Following staff's presentation, the commission may elect to either continue the item or provide a recommendation to council. If continued, that would provide staff additional opportunity to review the points of opposition presented. Thank you.
I was able to read 2 of the letters, but the last one I didn't get in time to read it. Okay, so can we have the presentation?
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Rob Holt with the Planning and Development Department. Tonight, staff brings forth consideration of a plan amendment and rezone. The proposed plan amendment and rezone subject area is bounded by East Vine Avenue to the north, South Elm Avenue to the west, the Chester-Sampson Avenue alignment to the south, which is just above North Avenue, and Highway 41 to the east. The current planned land use designation and zone district for the subject area is neighborhood mixed use, and the requested change for planned land use designation and zoning district will be to the IL light industrial planned land use designation and zone district. The subject area was originally located within the light industrial zone district prior to the adoption of the Southwest Fresno specific plan in 2017, which as part of that plan was rezoned to the neighborhood mixed use zone district. The applicant is requesting that this area be changed back to the light industrial zone district due to the subject area being majorly developed with the majority of the existing uses and buildings being more consistent with the industrial use classification. The current policy that initiated the purpose for this application is policy LU 8.1 in the Southwest Fresno specific plan. This policy states, as stated there, plan and zone employment areas in Southwest Fresno for non-industrial businesses. All previously designated light industrial, heavy industrial business park, and regional business park land uses should be planned and zoned for office. The proposed addition to the policy LU 8.1 would be, except for the 92-acre area bounded by Vine Avenue to the north, Elm to the south, or to the east, to the west, I'm sorry, Elm to the west, Chester to the south, and Highway 41 to the east, in order to allow for the continuation of legally established and non-polluting uses established and operating as of February 18th, 2021. Looking at the existing development and land use for the area, there's only an approximately 0.63 acre portion of a property, as noted in the red offices and existing buildings on that map to the right there. There's two buildings that have office type uses and one restaurant. And then in the back would be most likely a similar type of building. So currently there we have that. And then another building or two can be built consistent with the existing development, considering it would be difficult to view from the public right away, as there are two other buildings in front of any proposed buildings along with shade trees down the road. And I've kind of taken a street view of where that area is just below this next to the map. Looking at the logical transition of land uses surrounding this subject area, there is a large swath of heavy industrial land use directly east of Highway 41, with then a transition into neighborhood mixed use going west, and as well as community commercial further down would be single family residential. The general plan defines light industrial as a buffer between heavy industrial and other land uses, and otherwise generally located in areas such as along railroads and freeways, just as this location is currently. So the Council District 3 office provided city staff with an email that the respective Council District staff conducted community outreach directly to community residents on this project, including members of the Southwest Fresno Specific Plan Committee and the Project Review Committee, resulting in no neighborhood meeting occurring based on that. The Council District 3 Project Review Committee did recommend approval of the project 4 votes to 1. Therefore, staff can make the findings for approval, and it is staff's recommendation to approve the plan amendment and rezone consistent with the findings made. That concludes our presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
So did I hear correctly and read correctly that there's 0.63 acres left to develop in the manner that everything else there is developed?
Correct. That's the only vacant property in the entire subject area.
Okay. Do any other commissioners have questions?
Yes, I have a question, Sister Moderator. Mr. Holt, you're saying that this went before the Southwest Specific Plan, the team? Is that correct?
This went before the Council District 3 Project Review Committee. The Southwest team was contacted by Councilman Arias and his staff.
And do you have the findings of what their saying was? Were they in opposition or were they for?
I do not have any communication as it relates to what was communicated between Councilman and the Southwest Fresno Specific Committee.
Okay, so I'm wanting to make sure that the Southwest Specific Plan, this does not contradict what the Southwest Specific Plan had already laid out.
This proposes to amend the Southwest Pacific Plan policy that accepts currently what is stated for specifically this area only, which already has existing industrial uses and buildings on it.
But members of that, but you don't have the findings, or you don't have the statements back from those members of the Southwest Pacific Plan on whether or not the opposition was. I would really love to hear whether or not there was opposition from the Southwest Pacific Plan team members or not.
I have not heard anything from them. That was just outreach from the councilman to them. There was nothing else related to staff.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question, Will. Can you please tell me the project review committee, what does it consist of? Is it just business owner? Is it residents? Is it just people that live on Southwest? Can you?
Yeah, the committee is chosen by the council district, the councilman of the council district. And they can be a variety of different things, whether they're educators or just like a commission. It could be a variety of things. I don't think I have what their actual job descriptions are in front of me at this very moment. But I know a lot of them are involved in plenty of different other committees and boards throughout the city of Fresno, specific to downtown and or Southwest.
Thank you.
Commissioner Diaz, just further clarification, the members of those committees are volunteers appointed by the district representatives and or the mayor.
Are they required to live in the area, or is it just people at large from all over Fresno? We know that?
I don't know that for District 3. There are different circumstances that apply to different geographic areas. So for example, within the Tower District, for their committee, it is not mandatory that the committee serving members live within that area or have a business within that area. However, that may be a requirement for other districts.
Thank you.
Does anyone have questions for staff? Okay. Is there an applicant on this one, Will, or is this just city staff presenting this?
Yes, we should have the applicant available.
Okay, can
Let
we
me
have
see.
a presentation from the applicant, please.
John Kinsey would be.
Okay, I'll let John, you've been allowed to talk, John. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Great. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. My name's John Kinsey. I'm with Wanger Jones Helsley, and I'm presenting today on behalf of several of the landowners within the subject area. Their properties were developed as light industrial land uses, primarily warehouse uses, approximately 20 years ago, and they were brought to this area by the former redevelopment agency. And so these are relatively new land uses with a lot of landscaping, and they've been good neighbors in the area. They attract a lot of national tenants that would otherwise go to other areas. And I can give you some examples of that and kind of how the land use change that was experienced a couple of years ago impacted that. A couple things that I want to make clear first, though, at the outset. This is not contemplating or approving any new development. This is not contemplating any change in land use whatsoever. The properties after this approval will look, feel, and be used the same way they're being used today. These are all, again, very, very new uses and that have, tenants, and there is no, this isn't something where we're going to be engaging in any construction or change in use. We're here because the landowners within this area were caught off guard by the change to the commercial land use a couple years ago. And they actually started to find out about the change in land use because they had some national tenants who were looking at using their properties, who went to the city in the process of doing their due diligence and found out that the zoning was inconsistent with the warehouse uses. And that jeopardized a lot of the national contracts, and they were actually talking about going elsewhere to our competitor cities, both in the Valley as well as out of state. One recent example was GlaxoSmithKline. They recently came in. They're a big medical supplier, which obviously is critically important nowadays. And they had some real concern that this property that they were looking for a long-term lease on was zoned neighborhood mixed use, which is inconsistent with what they wanted to do on the property. Ultimately, we had to work that out with the city, but we were able to successfully get GSK in there. However, any national tenant that we're dealing with now is asking these questions, and we have to go through and we jeopardize losing the ability to obtain them as tenants. And we do have some other representatives of the developers on the line if you do have any particular questions, but that is really the true concern. We don't want to lose our ability to compete with other markets, both in the Valley and out of state. And this is an important approval to allow the properties here to be successful. We obviously, as soon as we found out about the issue, we started working cooperatively with staff, and it's been a long haul to get here. But I'm glad that we're here. You have a very lengthy environmental document in front of you that even though we're not planning on, even though this doesn't contemplate any new development, we wanted to be conservative, obviously, and have an assessment. That's why we did an addendum to the EIR. And that document finds that there will be no changes compared to the existing conditions. That's really all we're planning on doing, is maintaining existing conditions. So I did get a chance to look at the letters in opposition. Two of them out of the three are simply statements that they oppose. And, obviously that's something that the landowners respect. Everyone is entitled to voice their opinions, and obviously we disagree with them. I also got a chance to look at the Leadership Council's letter, and I evaluated that. Obviously, there's a concern about consistency with the Southwest Fresno specific plan, but rest assured, this project will still need to conform to all the policies, all the rules of the Southwest specific plan. So that isn't something that is going to change. There are some allegations about environmental impacts, but of course, the impacts on the ground today are the same impacts that are going to be there tomorrow. There aren't going to be any changes in the ultimate use of these properties. The businesses just want to continue their current operations. So compared to the environmental baseline, there is no change, and as a result of that, there won't be any environmental impacts. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. I really appreciate your consideration of this item, as do my landowners that I represent, and certainly their tenants appreciate it as well.
I have a question. You seem to know who the tenants are there. Do you have any idea what the average pay rate is on the jobs in those for those tenants?
I do not, but I believe we have some people on the phone who can answer those questions. So what I can do is, when I'm done with my comments, I can send some text messages. Obviously, it's a little awkward over Zoom, but I can ask the right people to make some comments, and they can provide those in the public comment period, as well as some additional examples of the tenants who occupy their spaces, so you can get a sense of who ultimately is there. But also part of this is to ensure that we can attract new tenants too. So if a tenant's lease expires, our landowners want to be able to attract the national tenants, the good tenants, the ones with the good paying jobs. And so being able to be flexible and accommodate those tenants, showing them that the land use is appropriate for the property, is critical.
Thank you. Does anyone else have questions for the applicant right now?
I have a question. Mr. Kinsey, have you had any interaction with Councilmember Arias?
I have not. I believe some of my clients have, but I'm the attorney, and so I haven't engaged in those communications.
Thank you.
One thing I will say, I did get a text just over the wire right now, and for one of the larger landowners in the area, it's an entity called STG, and they are the landowner who's leased to GlaxoSmithKline. They say they're averaging over $20 an hour.
Okay, thank you.
And I believe a lot of their employees are from the surrounding area as well.
Thank you. Does anyone else have questions? Okay, so we will go out to the public now. Is there anyone present from the public who is in favor of this project?
Commissioner Bray, I have no hands up right now. Oh, wait, here we go. We have one actually.
Hi, can everyone hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You state your name and address, please.
Yes. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Gracia Lenis. I work for Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability. Our address is 2210 San Joaquin Street here in downtown. I would like to speak on this as a former Southwest Specific Plan Steering Committee member and clarify a few points that were said earlier. I believe most of us were not engaged in this process or the reason of this. It is completely not in line, not only with what the steering committee, the supermajority of the steering committee, which was 21 members, voted on to, rezone all of the industrial for a reason, but also the hundreds of community voices who were very loud and very clear throughout the 2-year process of the Southwest Pacific Plan that they do not want to be continued the dumping grounds of the city of Fresno. They want the same thing that any neighborhood wants: good, healthy housing, great parks, good job opportunities, and none of that is available through the current employment opportunities that are being presented by many of the businesses there. I won't say all, but many of the businesses that are there.
Pardon me, are you speaking in opposition to the?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, we
yes.
are on people in favor at this time.
Oh, I apologize.
Yes,
I haven't joined the planning commission meeting in a while.
Let me ask real quick, Gavin, is there anybody in favor? If there isn't, she could just continue.
Henry Perea just popped his hand up, so let's see if he's in favor.
He's part of the group, the applicant group.
Okay, then at this time, Henry's the only hand that's up.
I can complete my comment afterwards. Yes, so I apologize.
We'll come back to you.
Thank you.
And Bob Mitchell just raised his hand. Nope,
Okay.
now he put his hand down. So Henry's the only one with his hand up.
Okay, Mr. Perea.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you for taking time to listen to my comments. Yes, I've been working with the applicants on this particular project, and just as recent as today, I did speak to the mayor's office as well as Councilmember Arias, and they are aware of this project. And going back a year, we did go to the mayor at that time as well as Councilmember Arias, and there were meetings that were set up by them to discuss this issue and move it through this process. So we're about a little over a year down the road where we have gone through all the process basically to bring these folks back to where they were before, and that is to light industrial. The council member, as recent as today, this, if it passes the planning commission today, it will go to the city council, and there will be, I believe, further discussion on it. But I really believe in just in the issue of moving the project forward. They have done the things that they have been asked to by the city to bring them back to a point to where they're simply going back to the zoning they had before. They're not asking for anything new. They're not asking for approvals for new construction. They're just trying to get back to a baseline, which is where they were at 20 years ago. So, I mean, I don't know what else to say other than that. We're asking the planning commission to seriously consider moving them forward to the city council for final action. Thank you.
Mr. Perea, were you saying that Councilmember Arias did reach out to the Southwest Committee and got some input from them? That's what I'm.
Yes, and on their advice, we went to the committee, which I believe you have the documentation in front of you. A presentation was made to that committee maybe 2-3 months ago now, and we did receive approval from that committee to move forward.
So the Southwest Planning Committee had you go to the other one?
To the neighborhood.
To the neighborhood, okay.
Yes, we were recommended to go to the neighborhood committee, and we did make the similar presentation, and they did support the project to move forward to where we are today.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in favor of the?
Mr. Chair, can I raise a question to Mr. Perea?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Perea, are you still on, sir?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Crine here asking, just for clarification, are you saying that Councilman Arias went to the Southwest Fresno Specific Plan team, who also went to the District 3 committee? Is that what you're speaking of as far as the committee you spoke of?
Okay, all that I can speak to is that we were, it was recommended that we go to the neighborhood the neighborhood committee to make this presentation, and we did. And based on that recommendation, we moved forward to where we are today.
Okay,
So we did what we were asked to do by the city.
Was there any opposition with the neighborhood committee that you went to, sir?
You know, I'm trying to recall. There may have been one member. I may have been a one opposition, and we had 3 or 4 in support.
Yeah, there were 4 in support and 1 against.
Okay. Yes.
That was the Council District 3 Project Review Committee specifically.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else in favor of the project?
There are no hands up.
Okay, so we'll go back to, was it Grisha that was speaking before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and again, apologies again for the confusion. I muted haven't joined a planning commission hearing in a minute. But yeah, as I was saying, the current rezone changes that are being proposed go completely against not only what the committee voted for, but also the hundreds of voices that were part of that entire 2-year process. It costs $500,000 to do this plan, and there's no reason why, just at the whim of certain owners, we should go back. I recognize and respect the owners and the tenants, but at the same time, the community had a vision, the steering committee had a vision that for the future, we want to do something better for West Fresno. We want to provide the same type of amenities, resources, jobs that we see in other parts of Fresno, the more affluent parts of Fresno, and we cannot continue to plague this community with these types of facilities. And even though we recognize that it won't change it in the immediate future, we want to see in the long run that this community is worth having these quality jobs, these beautiful investments, and quality housing and parks for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in opposition?
Yes, hold on. We've got Ivanka Saunders.
Gavin and Kathy, whenever I have a moment, can I just read the email from the District 3 staff for the record regarding Southwest Pacific Plan Committee and the rest? Okay, is that the time to do it now, or can I do it later?
Is this Robert speaking?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead and read it.
Okay. So it states, as written, Council President has conducted community outreach directly to community residents on this project, including members of the Southwest Pacific Committee and our Project Review Committee. Therefore, request waiving the neighborhood community meeting and placing the item on the 8/25 agenda. And that was from the Chief of Staff from Council District 3. So I just wanted to clear the air on why I had said, Council President had said that that's exactly what was stated for the record from the email.
Can we have a date for that, please, sir?
August 20th, 2020 at 11:07 a.m.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, is there anyone else in opposition?
Yes, Ivanka Saunders, you've been unmuted. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. My name is Ivanka Saunders. I'm a policy advocate with Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability, and we submitted one of the opposition letters. I also freely ask if you have any questions for me. I am one of the D3 implementation committee members. We, along with the residents of Southwest Fresno, request that you deny the adoption of this addendum to the Southwest Fresno specific plan and deny the rezone application that would change the Elm Avenue corridor from neighborhood mixed use to light industrial. This decision goes against everything that community and stakeholders worked hard to change for the betterment of the community. None of the members of the community and the steering committee of the Southwest Pacific Plan, which Robert is stating that there were, but to my knowledge, when I wrote that letter, there are many people that are in opposition that weren't aware of these changes, weren't made of those changes to be requested. And the other part that's concerning is the planning department is only required to do a bare minimum of notice to only 1,000 feet around the project area. Yet there are 3 communities to the north and west of the project that will be impacted by land use changes that occur in this area, including 2 schools to the west. While in our comment letter, we incorrectly stated that this plan did not go before the implementation committee, which I'm on, it did. And when I saw this coming up this week, I believe that this was a separate plan, because when it was presented to us, it was very much specific to being told this is specific to the GSK and the disposal businesses, and that we were going to be hindering the current quote unquote clean type of business that's already being ran there. And so it feels a little disconcerting to believe what you're hearing versus what's in the black and white. My lesson learned today is I can't, as many people have already told people from the West Side, you can't believe maybe what this city is always telling you. And I understand what the attorney is saying tonight, that this is only specific to what was promised and allowed for the last 20 years. But we are in a racial reckoning of this country that we know that was what was done 20 years ago is not what is correct for going to the future. The program environmental impact report states that there would be no impacts to the surrounding community, yet light industrial that allows for facilities such as logistical companies will continue to require heavy duty trucks that will impact the community. Homes to the north of this project begin at only 25 feet away. The Callan virus screen has placed the census tracts of Southwest Fresno in the top 1% of the most overly burdened areas of air and toxic pollution and detrimental health impacts. Yet the decisions of this city want to ignore those facts and continue to add to this poor statistic by adding more industrial causing pollutants to communities of color. The purpose and the reason the steering committee of Southwest Fresno specific plan designated this southern part of Elm Avenue to be neighborhood mixed use. It's not about that 6 acres that's not there, but it's because that there was already divestment that the city decided years ago. So when you talk about years ago, this is how it's been, you
Please
are
wrap up your comments
to the concerns that we are now facing, trying to make neighborhoods better for the future. In the past, this same area had supermarkets, family stores, dry cleaners, gas stations, and restaurants that were to serve the community. Light industrial will not serve, nor is it a barrier to heavy industry of the community of Southwest Fresno. Please deny this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in opposition?
Yes, there is. Here's Cynthia.
Hi, good evening, commissioners. Can you all hear me just fine?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Cynthia Pinto-Cabrera. I'm the policy assistant with the Central Valley Air Quality Coalition, also known as CVAC, and we're located in Fresno, California. We're a coalition of over 70 environmental justice, and public health organizations that advocate for clean air policies throughout the San Joaquin Valley. And I would like to express our opposition to the zoning changes being proposed tonight. Public health impacts have been vastly overlooked. I would like to just reiterate the comments that have been made tonight, that the surrounding area has been continuously considered one of the most disproportionately impacted by air pollution by the state. This proposal, again, directly contradicts community wishes who have wanted neighborhood mixed use for amenities and services of businesses that serve the community. And this proposition is overall an immense threat to public health, as it will further expose the nearby neighborhoods to additional burdens by allowing large facilities to create heavy-duty truck traffic that's going to lead to small particulate matter and nitrogens of oxide, dangerous pollutants to our health. This area, again, is also part of the AB 617 Fresno community, so reiterating that it is one of the most disadvantaged in the state. And the increased threat of this pollution by heavier truck traffic is overall highly counterintuitive and will not lead to the reduced emissions that are desperately needed. We need to uphold community wishes and not allow community health to be threatened, especially in the communities that are bearing the highest air pollution burdens. So again, we would like to encourage you to not approve. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in opposition?
Yes, there is.
I want to explain, at a regular meeting, we do have a bell, and so we don't have that now. And so please forgive Gavin if he interrupts you and lets you know that your time's almost up, but we do have to keep track of the time. So apologies in advance. We don't have our rude bell. We just have our polite Gavin interrupting you. So can the next person please state their name and address?
Hi, this is Dr. Venice Curry. I guess I'm the next person up. My address is 312 West Valencia. I'm a resident of West Fresno, 93706. And I am in opposition to making any amendments to the land use and zoning that is proposed this evening with this applicant. I would call your attention to the fact that this plan was adopted in 2017. And so the idea that people are just finding out about it, some 4 years later, or have been working on it for years without the involvement of the community is very distressing. I will say that we worked on this plan as community members for at least 2 years, and that at every single meeting, this one issue dominated, and that is whether or not the city would move away from using West Fresno as a dumping ground and simply find some other location in the city of Fresno to place your industrial needs. We are overburdened. We have the cumulative effect of the excessive truck traffic, of the air pollution, and all of that results in poor public health outcomes. Our increased infant mortality rate, our incidence of asthma and the prevalence of asthma, chronic diseases. West Fresno in the 93706 is absolutely in the 99th percentile when it comes to impacts of the environmental and the built neighborhood. So we did not go through that whole 2-year period to have to relitigate whether or not our health and our well-being deserves the same kind of importance and dignity and respect that other parts of the city have. We have fought this fight consistently, and it is on the basis of health and welfare. These jobs that you're recommending or saying that will come to West Fresno are not jobs that are held by residents that live in 93706. What that means is that those people who come in have the opportunity to come and work in a place where they will not suffer the hazard or the impact of the increased pollution that their jobs and the light industry creates. That is an unfair burden that West Fresno has borne, and we are no longer willing to bear that. So we worked on this plan, we shepherded it through Planning Commission. We had the same issue around let's continue to place industry in West Fresno, and residents, thousands of residents over a period of time has said that is not the vision for our community. And so we put this plan together. It was voted on and supported by the Planning Commission unanimously. It went to City Council where we again had the same discussion, and it was voted on and supported and endorsed by the City Council unanimously to support the vision that West Fresno is not going to continue to be a dumping ground. So to come back now and ask us to go back to a place where we allow additional industry, no, that is not the will of the people. We are taxpayers, and our community deserves to have a healthy built neighborhood as other parts of the city. If the jobs are that wonderful, we invite you to take them and place them in other parts of the city. So I am asking you to oppose this amendment and oppose any changes that would allow more industry into West Fresno. And please refer to the AB 617 for what the air pollution impacts are and how we are already working to address those. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Curry. Is there anyone else in opposition?
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Dr. Janine Nkosi, and I'm a professor of sociology at Fresno State. And I'm also the regional advisor for Faith in the Valley, which is a grassroots faith-based community organization that works alongside many people in the community who have been neglected for far too long and left out of the policy and planning that shapes their lives and communities. And so I'm here tonight joining this call to express our opposition to any amendments. And when I hear people on the call here tonight making comments that we are simply going back to what we had before, back to a baseline, back to 20 years ago, I think that it's important. I know that we're all very well aware of the long-standing racist land use policies, exclusionary zoning, things like redlining and racially restrictive covenants, and all of the things that have literally got us into the place where we are today. As you all have heard, hundreds and thousands of people have expressed that directly impacted residents in the communities that you all are making determinations for have expressed opposition to any amendments and the amendments that you all are proposing. There was a 2-year process that people from the community undertook, and they have created a plan that they want to see in their community. And so I just want to express opposition to any amendments here so that you honor the voices of the people who have been and will continue to be directly impacted by the policies and plans that you all have the authority to make a vote on here tonight and into the future.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in opposition? Gavin, do you see anyone else's hand up?
Yeah, I'm trying to get Estella to unmute herself. Estella, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Gavin, what is the code for unmuting oneself from a phone?
This person's not on a phone, but the phone, I believe, is *6. Either *6 or *9. I can't remember which. One does mute, one does hand up, but this person's not on the phone.
It's *9.
Okay, let's go to Giannis. Nope, Giannis just disappeared. Estella, can you unmute yourself, please? Give you one last shot here.
You can also press Alt-A to unmute.
I think
I just learned something. Thank you, whoever said that.
Or hold the space bar to temporarily unmute.
Yeah, she's not unmuting herself, so there's not a lot we can do with that one.
Is anyone else in opposition, Gavin?
Giannis, you can go ahead and unmute yourself, please. I think he's having audio problems because his mic disappeared, but right now I've got nobody else with their hand up. Bob Mitchell, hold on. Bob, let's give you a shot. Can you unmute yourself?
Do so now. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Good evening, Planning Commission members. How are you all? I am a member of the body that spent an enormous amount of time with the Southwest Specific Plan. In fact, I met with Councilman then, Oliver Baines, when he approached the idea. It was his baby. So over a considerable amount of time, we volunteered our time with the purpose of making our community a better community. The planning which was in existence and zoning which was in existence was not what we desired to see for our community. If you know anything about our community at all, you know the hazardous conditions that our residents must live under because of the inappropriate planning for our community. This was a decision made after numerous hours of conversation with the planners from the city of Fresno, our councilman, and the residents of West Fresno. This is what we're saying we don't want any longer in our community for all of the reasons that Dr. Curry enumerated to you. There are homes right in that immediate vicinity. The lawyer states that the tenants are concerned. Well, we are more concerned than the tenants because it's what we have to live with. Those tenants who are there now are not going to be removed. So there's no problem with those who are presently there. The lawyer says that this is not to contemplate any future development. If you believe that, I have a bridge I want to sell to you. There's no need to rezone 92 acres if you have no plans for it. This is a direct attempt to rechange what we fought to change. It's like someone coming into your residence, Madam Chair, telling you, yeah, I like your house, but I don't like the couch in it. I don't like the coffee table in it. I'm going to take it out, and then you just sit on the floor. We worked for this. We spent time, our valuable time, to bring this about. And it is not adversarial to those that are there. We're simply saying, don't bring any more of that there. Leave the zoning as it is. Do not revert back to 20 years ago when the planning department put anything and everything that it could in the midst of our residential neighborhoods. Give us the consideration that you would give to your neighbors. Give us the consideration that you would want your children to grow up in a healthy community. Give us the consideration that we know what's best for us, that we have looked at the circumstances under which we have to live and have said, no more. We have suffered enough. We don't need any more. There's a major industrial complex to the southeast of this location. Businesses can go out there and locate. Give us what you want for your communities, as that is what we want for our communities. Please don't throw away all the time we spent on this by allowing this to pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in opposition?
We'll try Estella one more time. Estella, can you unmute yourself, please? Okay, let's give Giannis another shot. Giannis, are you able to unmute yourself? Oh, Estella was able to unmute herself. Hold on.
Sí, buenas tardes a todos. A mí me interesa dar mi comentario sobre las industrias, que no me gustaría a mí que trajeran más industrias a la comunidad, porque aquí en la ciudad de Fresno, pues estamos muy impactados con la industria, la contaminación de los carros, los pesticidas en los files. Es más importante, yo pienso, que traigan escuelas, colegios, hospitales o clínicas. También tiendas de comida, parques. Eso es lo que a mí me gustaría que incluyan en este plan, porque para mí las industrias, pues son ya mucha industria aquí en Fresno, mucha contaminación también en el Valle Central. Este es mi comentario y muchas gracias. Y también otra cosa que sí me gustaría que tuvieran también traducción, para que así también la comunidad tenga su opinión, porque es importante que ellos también opinen. Gracias.
Gracias.
Okay, Giannis, we'll get back to you here. Can you unmute yourself?
Sorry, are we going to have that translated?
You don't have any translators on, so I'm not sure how you'd have that translated.
I can translate if it's permissible.
I think you can do a short, if you can translate, I think that would be helpful.
Thank you.
Estela had comments. She said that there was too many industries already polluting the air. She says that in this community, what they need is school, colleges, supermarket, and parks. She believes that the Central Valley has been hit with all kinds of different pollutants, from car pollutants to agriculture and to many other pollutants in the air. That was her comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Giannis, you should be able to unmute yourself yet again.
Yes, good evening, commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Jonas Paulos. I represent all the disabled people. I'm a commissioner at City Hall with Disability Advisory Commission. I'm also a homeless veteran advocate on my own of 6 years. And I'm also a resident at 5891 South Cherry Avenue. I live in Southwest. I carry that 06. I'm a superb professional soccer player. Guess what? My nose is burning. I never thought I'm going to be experiencing this kind of stuff. It's really upsetting. I've been living here for 3 years, and I'm just very upset that it hit home for me. And I've been hearing this all about Southwest and the health issues. But for somebody like myself, a superb track and field and a soccer player professionally, to start having a burning nose, it really hit home for me. So please consider this. Mr. Paulos is only one. I'm only one. But there's thousands of them, farm workers that live around here. I hear a lot of asthma. My wife has it. My son has allergies. And it's really all around me. I'm not going to lie to you. This stuff is serious. And please don't let our area where we live at to be a dump ground. I agree with all those people that spoke before me. So I'm pleading with you as an advocate, as a
Hold on a second. That may have been a screw up on my side. Jonas, can you go ahead and finish your statement there?
Yes, I just want to say, take all this into consideration. I represent all the disabled people. I'm also visually impaired. So it just really bothered me, man, the burning nose on my left. And the trucks come by. I'm on Elm and Lincoln. So the trucks are here every day. So for me to get this in almost 3 years, to have this burning sensation, we have a problem. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jonas.
Okay, next we have June. June, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is June Stanfield and I live at 2668 South Ivy. I have been in my home for over 50 years. Ivy is one street over west from Elm Avenue. And on a daily basis, I hear the noise, the trucks that comes from the recycling center. We have to do better in our community as a city and keep the promises that you guys give us when we take the time in our effort to improve our community. I was one of those members that served on the Southwest Planning Committee to improve the community that I live in. I am opposed to light industrial on Elm Avenue. Elm Avenue should be an avenue that resembles Blackstone. We need plazas for small businesses. We need stores. We need pharmacies. We need car washes. We need businesses that's going to bring other businesses and give people in our community an opportunity to establish business. Large industrial businesses do not do that for our community. We are building a state-of-the-art Fresno City College campus. You guys are building a senior citizen community by the old Annandale Ivy Center. Why are you even considering overturning what the community do not want? So again, remember and think about what the community wants, the people that live here, the people that have to listen to this and breathe this every day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in opposition?
Oh, yes. Let me see here, do a little housekeeping real quick. Kimberly McCoy, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kimberly McCoy. I am the project director for Fresno Building Healthy Communities. And I just wanted to state for the record that I am opposition of the amendment to the Southwest Pacific Plan. For someone as a resident and a person who was born and raised in Southwest Fresno, and I worked on this plan, I volunteered hours to provide my comments and provide ideas and strategies on how this plan should look like and what it reflects for my community, I feel that this is very disrespectful to want to overturn what we worked so hard for. I grew up with asthma. I was born in 1973. I grew up in that area. I was always wondering why I always smelled the stench in the air and couldn't understand where that smell was coming from. Couldn't understand why I was limited on going outside because I had asthma, because of the things around us affected us. I was hospitalized twice with pneumonia. My mother had to quit her job. She was a single parent of 2, and she had to quit her job to make sure that I was here to talk to you guys today, because the advice of the doctor was to get out of Fresno, but we had no way to get out of Fresno. So we had to stay here and make do with what we had. Now I have a son with asthma, and as I drive around West Fresno and I look at the community, I graduated in 1992. West Fresno has changed from 1992 to 2021, and it has not changed in a good way. We need more parks. We need more businesses. We need more grocery stores. We don't need more industrial facilities that take 20 years off our lives when someone is born. The life expectancy of someone that lives in West Fresno is maybe 60, 65 years old. They automatically, when you're born, you get 20 years taken off your life because of the social determinants of health that you have to deal with living in West Fresno. So I just want to state for the record that I am in opposition of this, and I feel that this is very disrespectful to all the residents and the committee who worked countless hours and put in their time and volunteered their time to make sure that there was no more industrial in West Fresno. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in opposition?
Terry, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yes, hi, my name is Terry Hirschfield, and I actually I didn't come to this planning meeting for this specific agenda item. However, in sitting here and listening to this, I feel it's very important that I do speak up. I am the superintendent for Orange Center School District in Fresno, and that is 3530 South Cherry Avenue, 93706. And I just, like I said, this is not the reason why I came to this meeting. However, I just want to say that knowing the community in which you are serving, knowing the topics that are on the agenda, I wanted to make sure that Estela's comments did not go unheard. She also indicated that it is very important that the Planning Commission have a translator and have translating available, because the people that are actually listening or trying to participate in these meetings and who your decisions affect need to be able to fully participate. And as a Planning Commission, you are fully aware of the community who you are impacting, and it is your responsibility to provide that. And Estela's voice should be heard, just like all of the rest of the other people who are speaking should be heard. And whoever translated, I thank you for doing that. However, that piece was left out. But as Estela did say that it was important to her as a community member that translation be made available at these meetings, specifically knowing that these topics that you are covering tonight affect people who speak Spanish, who are people of color, who and you are fully prepared. You've known what was on the agenda, ample amount of time, and I feel that the commission, the planning committee, should have been prepared to accept comments from people who speak Spanish. And I also have my job there in Fresno, and I spend 5 days a week there, if not 6 to 7 day, from 7 o'clock to 7 o'clock, sometimes later. And I also disagree with all of these different changes being made to these plans without taking into consideration all of the hard work that the community members already put into place. And they've already told you what their wishes are, and it should not go ignored. And I agree with the rest of the speakers saying that it's disrespectful. So with that, I would just like to say thank you for listening to my comment.
Thank you. And I will tell you, in our in-person meetings, we do have translators. I'm not sure if the staff can figure out how we could have translators over Zoom.
Commissioner Bray, translation service is easily done on Zoom. We do it for the council meetings, so we can get you in contact with a translation service that would be more than happy to translate both Spanish, Hmong, and Punjabi to the local residents without any problem.
So Jennifer, do we need to look into that or?
Sure, we'll work with the city clerk's office and get back to you.
Okay, thank you. This is the first time we've had someone not speaking English, and the whole Zoom thing has been unusual. So we'll see what we can do about that. And thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else in opposition?
There is one more, Eric. And by the way, Commissioner, the translation service works fantastic in Zoom. It really is helpful for both directions.
Great. I'm glad she brought that up.
Eric, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Eric Payne. I'm the executive director of the Central Valley Urban Institute. We are a local nonprofit that acts in the interest of low-income, disadvantaged communities of color. And we issued a memo of concern to the Planning Commission and the city, addressed to the Planning Director, Jennifer Clark, for your consideration and review. We ask that that item be moved into the public record. And thank you for your time.
Okay, we did receive that. I read it. So thank you. Is there anyone else in opposition?
No.
Okay.
Curry had her. Actually, yeah, here's another one.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you state your name?
Hi. Yes, my name is Marina Harutunian, 6238 North Glen Avenue, Fresno, California, 93704. I am a former member of the Southwest Pacific Plan, and I just wanted to make sure I state that I had not received any communication with regards to the item discussed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else in opposition? Okay. Does the applicant have a rebuttal?
We've got actually, yeah, it's never mind the applicant's hand up. I'm sorry.
Do we have anyone else in opposition, Gavin?
No, John was the only one with his hand up at this moment.
Okay. So the applicant can do a rebuttal now?
Yes, thank you very much, and I'll be brief. I did want to reiterate, and I know that there were several items on the agenda that dealt with, development projects, but just wanted to reiterate here. These are buildings that already exist, and they're actually very new buildings in the grand scheme of things. We're not looking to bring any more industry into Southwest Fresno than what's already there. This is just to preserve what's already there, and specifically the relatively new buildings there along Elm Avenue. Because of that, obviously, we've heard trucks comments about air quality. Again, there's nothing new, so there won't be any increased impacts compared to what's there today. With respect to blight, these businesses actually moved into an area that the redevelopment agency wanted to develop to help lessen blight. And so they moved to this area. They chose this area as opposed to other areas because the redevelopment agency was asking them to come. And because of that, they built all these buildings. These buildings are actually very well maintained. I have to say, my son played soccer. I drove to West Fresno Middle School multiple times a week for many years. And I was always struck by how well maintained those buildings were on Elm Avenue. When I was driving him to his practices and matches and whatnot. I did want to correct one issue, a statement that Ms. Saunders made, and she made a statement about the August 25th meeting about there being some suggestion that only Mid-Valley Recycling and GlaxoSmithKline were mentioned. I was at that meeting and I actually did the presentation. And one of the beautiful things about Zoom is I can actually be here at my computer and have the presentation in front of me that I made back on August 25th. I'd be happy to share it with you by share screen if you have the ability to do that. But the presentation that I'm looking at that I gave to the committee on August 25th lists all the primary owners. Obviously, it doesn't just list Mid-Valley and GlaxoSmithKline. In fact, it doesn't mention GlaxoSmithKline at all because they were a tenant. It talks about all the landowners there. And the other thing that it does is I had a very nice kind of map and if I can share screen, I can show it to you, that shows exactly which properties we're talking about. So during this meeting, the reason why we did that and included these very kind of clear visuals is so there was no confusion about what ultimately is there. So you can see that these are very well-maintained buildings. And all we're doing is trying to preserve the well-maintained buildings and uses that are already there, not building anything new. And you can see from the visuals that I gave on August 25th, and if you look at the staff materials, these properties are already filled in. This isn't about building anything new. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I certainly appreciate your time this evening.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
And I was hoping to hear this as part of the rebuttal from the applicant. So John, what was your or your client's participation in the development of the Southwest Specific Plan?
They were not informed that that process was underway. And so there have been a lot of statements this evening about, the numerous hours of conversations about the Southwest Specific Plan, the numerous meetings, and honestly, my clients weren't involved. We looked back, and actually, my clients went back and looked at all their files to try to figure out, wow, how did this escape us? And ultimately, what we found is there was a single, not letter, but a little mailer that was sent to some of the landowners. Some, I think a few received it, many didn't. And all it had was a little 2-page piece of paper that showed what the new planning map was going to look like. And so, I don't think they understood that little planning map meant that their land use was going to change from light industrial to neighborhood mixed use. And obviously, had they known and had they been, participants in those conversations, they would have been able to, meet with the residents, say, hey, look, we're totally on board with the fact that, you don't want anything new, that you don't want any new land uses, but just let us keep our existing land use. Let us keep, what we have. And, we're good neighbors. These properties are well maintained, and they would have been able to participate at that level. Unfortunately, they didn't have the opportunity. Many of them didn't get that notice, and the ones that did, it wasn't really clear what the city was trying to do. So that's why we're here today. And obviously my clients didn't raise a ruckus. They went to the city, they met with staff, they met with Mr. Arias, and to see what they needed to do. And because of that, we've over the past, I think it's been almost 2 years now, been through this process, trying to do the right thing to ultimately preserve what we have there. So that's ultimately what led us to this point.
Okay, does anyone else have questions for Mr. Kinsey?
Commissioner Bray, I do have 2 more hands up. Mr. Pereira's hand is up and Steve Brock's hand is up.
Okay.
Would you like me to allow them to speak?
Yes, please.
Commissioner Bray, I don't believe you've closed the public comment. So is this part of public comment, or are you asking them to speak? I
didn't close the public comment yet because I was afraid somebody else might pop up.
Okay, I'm just flagging that for you.
Yeah.
And Mr. Brock is one of the landowners in the area, and so he may be able to provide some additional information regarding some of the questions that you had that I wasn't able to answer.
Let's listen to Mr. Brock first.
Okay, hold on a second. Mr. Pereira, we'll put you back on hold for a moment. And Mr. Brock, you should be able to unmute yourself.
First of all, thank you for taking time to listen to us. And I hope that we're all listening to the people that are making comments. And I want to assure them that our company, my partners, or our tenants have no intention of disrespecting anyone. It's just the opposite. And we're not the village idiots. We didn't find out about this change. In fact, we're financing the building, and we have a letter dated the same day as the zoning change took place, the letter to us, to our lender, which we swear under the penalty of perjury, says that we're properly zoned. That night, the zoning was changed. Now, my story can be a little self-serving, but it's 90 or 95% on point. Happy to bring that. My intent is not the finger point, and we would have to be inhumane individuals to not listen to what these people have said, because those people are, from my view, speaking their honest, heartfelt beliefs, and I have no intent of disrespecting them. And given everything that's happened, you guys have every right to body slam us. All we're asking for is we have to live with covenants with our lenders that say we meet certain requirements. We're not asking to change the use. We're asking to preserve what we have there. If you come to our GlaxoSmithKline is a pharmaceutical distribution point. It's home health care products and some pharmaceuticals. It's whisper clean, okay? We have trucks. I would be a liar to tell you that I don't know that trucks pollute, okay? I'm not gonna lie to you in an effort to win or sway you, okay? I'm only gonna tell you that we make every effort to do the right thing, whether it's in Fresno or Savannah or anyplace else. When we started the project back in the day, there was a West Fresno coalition. We went and met with those people and got unanimous support to do this, or we wouldn't be there. We leave when people don't want us there, okay? We do not want to engage in these types of situations. So all I can do is ask you for your consideration, okay? I understand you have the power to body slam us. These people have every right to be angry, okay? We just want to preserve what we got, be able to maintain our covenants with our lenders and move on. And I would be misleading you to say that, you know, I don't understand the opposition. I understand the opposition's position. It could be, hey, you guys could be the first guys we're going to teach a lesson to. I get it, okay? And if that's it, just tell us. We need to go home and be quiet and continue to operate our business and stop irritating these people. I'm sure they got better things to do than to list, you know. I guess we're almost at the city and we got something approved that people feel shouldn't have been approved. We certainly didn't know it at the time. So we can't even come and ask for forgiveness. We're at your mercy and we recognize that. And with hat in hand, we ask for your understanding and support. If there's something we can do for the community, okay, we're not opposed, but nobody's offered any solutions, and I certainly don't have them. But I don't want anybody to think we disrespect them, aren't considerate of their position or any of that stuff, because we are. We've tried to do this step by step the right way. And past that, that's as good as I got, and as straight over tackle as I can tell you. Okay. Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Brock. Mr. Perea?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman, for giving me another opportunity to speak. And I think John and Steve covered most of what I was going to say, but I just want to underscore that when I became involved in this issue a little over a year ago, it was at a time when GlaxoSmithKline was in the process, just so you know the history, of a major merger with Pfizer. And if you're aware, a couple of years ago, Pfizer Healthcare Pharmaceuticals, they were going through an international merger. And in the United States, they whittled it down to 9 areas that they would stay. Okay, they had a choice between Fresno and Reno. But they chose Fresno because of the location of Glasgow, the relationship that they have, and the fact that the city was going to work with them to make that happen. And fast forward to today, that merger occurred. They are in there, and they are an extremely clean business. But then again, the issue of the zoning came up from the bank. When the bank did their due diligence, when these folks needed the money to do the remodel of the facility, they found that it was now downzoned to neighborhood commercial. Okay, And now from a business perspective, that's pretty difficult for them to deal with. Now, as Steve was saying, from the advocates' perspective, they have a lot of valid points. I mean, I recall being in positions where I was making the same arguments, and those arguments do exist. But I believe in this particular case, if you're familiar with the area, I mean, you're talking about pretty much a quarter of 100,000 plus square foot industrial buildings that have pretty clean, quiet operations, and they do have an employment base. So what they did, what they should have done was went to the city and said, how can we fix this? So they did everything that the city asked them to do to get to where they are tonight, including a neighborhood meeting. Now, if there are questions or issues about that, I mean, I understand and respect that. But I think we also have to respect the fact that these folks have also followed a process that you are a part of. Now, on a broader level, I'm going to ask you to consider this. I mean, we have a new mayor in this city. We have a council that's working with them, and there are different opinions on how this city is going to move forward. And one of them is going to be is what type of an industrial base, what type of business community, along with everything else that's quality of life we are going to have. What I'm requesting that you consider is that if you believe these folks have followed the processes as given to them by the city, you can only play by the rules that people give you. If they have followed those rules, then we're asking that you consider moving this issue forward to the city council. I mean, this is not over tonight, as you can imagine. And give the advocates an opportunity to come in even greater force at that council meeting to have that discussion, but also give the business community the opportunity to come forward and discuss, because this issue is much bigger, I believe, than what we're talking about tonight. The question is, where is this city going to go in all aspects of its quality of life, including business? And if the message is for business that, industrial is not what we want to do anymore in the city, well, then so be it. They're big boys and girls, they will make then business decisions on where they're going to have their businesses. But I can tell you, if you look at those buildings that exist there today off of the 41 corridor in Jensen, you're talking about 200,000-300,000 square foot facilities. And if those are going to now be neighborhood commercial, when these folks start making their long-term business plans to move out, I don't know who's going to go into those buildings and what you're going to have there. So I'm asking you to consider the fact that they did follow the processes that the city gave them. They're here before you, having checked all the boxes. And I'm asking you to please consider advancing them to the city council and let the city leaders at that level have the final discussion on what the city is going to do moving forward with this business community, balancing out with the needs of the neighborhood. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to close the hearing now and go back to the commissioners. Would any of the commissioners like to ask any questions or make comments on this issue?
Chair Bray, I believe it's staff summation is next.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Sum up any points.
So do we have a staff summation? Robert?
I think I'll refer that to Will.
Will?
Chair Bray, commission members, staff has heard all the testimony tonight. As Mr. Perea mentioned, this item will be required to be considered by the city council. That will require a follow-up report. It will require additional noticing to the neighborhood. So at this point in time, staff will consider the testimony received, the recommendation that we will receive from the commission tonight, assuming an action is taken, and we would propose that we forward that to council. Otherwise, our recommendation remains as is at this point in time.
Thank you. Now we'll close the hearing. Okay, do any commissioners have comments or questions?
Yeah, I want to make a comment. I think it's, I don't know if it's a miscommunication or a lack of communication between the applicant and the locals in that area. I mean, for reading the report itself, where it says that the County District 3 office provided city staff with an email saying that they're going to go ahead and waive a neighborhood meeting. I don't know if there's miscommunication between the Council of District 3 office and those local residents. To me, I would feel more comfortable if we go ahead and push this back to staff, let them review it, let them review the opposition letter, do some work on their end, reach out to those who are in opposition of the actual plan itself, and at the same time allow for the locals to actually reach out to the representative in that area and get some feedback and try to work something out.
Would you be comfortable if we move this forward with a recommendation that they reach out to, especially the Southwest Plan group that didn't seem to be involved in this, but moved it forward to City Council with them getting more input from that's just a suggestion.
I think, I wouldn't feel comfortable. I think we're going to provide something that it's not, we didn't do our food service as a planning commission, where we're going to go ahead and pass along something that's 50% full. I'd rather us go and push it back, let them do the work, kind of figure out, work the local community, work with the council member within that area, and then bring it back for us to really get the entire information and vote on it.
Does anyone else have a comment? Or
yeah, I thank you. And I thank everybody for their comments, and I hear everybody's concerns and they're all valid. But I do believe that this business was already in operation. It's currently there. There's not any current new construction that's going to be taking place. I get, as wearing a different hat, I've received letters in the past, and it could be a little confusing. I'm not on one side or the other, but I do feel that there's a structure that's already there and operating. And I just would feel comfortable making a motion to approve to City Council and let them be the last voice and approve staff's recommendation, and let everybody come in and give the City Council a chance to deal with that. I mean, we're talking about a business owner that's in operation for many, many years. That would be my motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Is there room for comment?
Sure.
Yeah, I would speak against what our previous commissioner. I speak in favor of what our Commissioner Vang alluded to for numerous reasons. One that highlights above every is the amount of opposition that was presented tonight, and the strong implications of what that possibly could bring forth in the future, that could possibly have a sense of division that I don't think, especially in today's climate, we want to look at. As commissioners, I believe our purpose is to promote controlling growth, promoting economic health as well, but at the same time improving the quality of life. And a lot of the opposition that was brought up tonight, that last key point is what stood out among all, and especially in light of the month that we're in, as well as the pain that I've heard and witnessed in Southwest Fresno historically. I do believe, especially hearing our last business owner and his remarks that sounded very genuine, that Commissioner Vang makes a very, very strong and awesome point, that it should go back where more information should be given, more sit downs should be made. I think sometimes a delay is not a denial, but a delay is necessary in order to bring a sense of understanding before this even goes before council. I would not feel comfortable at this point, especially hearing from so many residents that have spoken, so many community leaders that have spoken as well, pushing this to council. I stand with Commissioner Vang 100% in letting due diligence be done behind the scenes.
Okay, so let's go back. Do we have a second for Mr. Hardy's, Commissioner Hardy's motion? Okay, so we don't. Would someone else like to make before I say that, does anyone else make a comment, or would someone
I do have a comment.
Okay.
I do have a comment, Chair Bray. And I'm going to concur with Commissioner Vang and Kreiner. I haven't heard anything that indicates there's some sort of urgency that this needs to move forward right away. I'm not comfortable sending it to council. It doesn't feel like it's finished. I also am not satisfied with the response from the applicant in terms of why they weren't a part of the process in terms of the Southwest specific plan. They identified themselves as good neighbors in terms of this process, bringing this forward. But I think good neighbors also means being and staying informed about the property you own and the community that it's in. And I think, saying that a letter or notice was confusing, that's not an excuse in terms of why they weren't involved with the process. And so this is an opportunity, I think, to bring them in, to work with the community and the city, figure something out. And then that would be, if then there still needs to be something to go forward to council, I'd be comfortable with that. So, but I'm not going to support to move this forward to council.
Okay. Does anyone else have a comment? If not, can we have another motion then?
I'll make a motion to go ahead and refer this back to staff.
Second.
So, Commissioner Vang and all of the commission, I think in accordance with the municipal code, the correct way to make that motion would be to continue the hearing, perhaps to a date certain, giving staff enough time to, as you stated, review the opposition and reach out to the community.
Correct. So let's go ahead and let's continue the matter. Let's, for a date certain, do I have to specify a date, or can we just?
You don't necessarily have to specify a date. It might help to provide a timeline, but you do not.
Let's go ahead and let's continue the matter for, let's say, next month in March, mid-March.
So there is a meeting on
17th.
Yep, the 17th.
So I'll make a motion to continue the matter with the date certain of March 17th.
And then
I'll
are you,
second that.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Vang. Do we have a second?
I just to clarify for the record, Chair Bray, I just want to clarify, does your motion, is that with direction to review the opposition and conduct additional outreach to the community?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the motion that I've got written down is to continue this hearing to March 17th with direction to staff to review the opposition received today and reach out to the local community to conduct additional outreach.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Raj.
Okay. And Commissioner Kreiner, did I hear you second that motion one time?
I did, but I believe Commissioner Hardy did before me.
No, sorry. If you did it already before me, my apologies. But I agree with that.
Okay.
But go ahead, Commissioner.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Vang to continue this to March 17th, and that was seconded by Commissioner Kreiner. So can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Diaz?
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Yes.
Commissioner Hardy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kreiner?
Yes.
Commissioner Vang?
Yes.
Chair Bray?
Yes. Okay, so that passes. I'd like to thank Robert for your presentation and the community for being here, and also the applicant. So thank you all. We'll see you back on the 17th.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we're almost done. Does the secretary have anything to report?
Good evening. Just a couple of items this evening. First of all, it's really great to see you. Haven't seen you in a long time. So it's really nice to see all of you. I wish it was in person and not on Zoom. Wanted to let you know that Commissioner Sodi Lane has chosen not to seek reappointment to the commission. And so there is a vacancy on the commission at this time. And the mayor's office is seeking recommendations, nominations, and there is an application form online for anyone who's interested in serving on the Planning Commission, and they'll be interviewing those candidates soon. And I also wanted to let you know that the League of California Cities will be putting on the annual Planning Commissioner training. It will most likely be a virtual format, which is actually kind of good because it allows all of you to go instead of just selecting a couple of you to travel to a location. So anyone who is interested, if you would let me or Mike Sanchez know, and we will get you the information on the dates and the times for that upcoming training, and we'll get you registered so that you can attend from the comfort of your remote location. So, but with that, that is all that I have tonight.
Okay, thank you. So next is unscheduled communications. If you're a member of the public and would like to comment, please use the raise hand function on Zoom, or if you're calling in, dial *9 and you would have 3 minutes. So
There are no hands up, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you, Gavin. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you at the next meeting.
Good night.
So we'll